This is the Open University.
Hello and welcome to the Open University. You're going to have to excuse my voice, which is somewhat weakened as I am in general this week. It's been an interesting week, and I'm going to tell you about it. I sort of was not sure whether I wanted to make this public or not, but I'm pretty sure I've gone through a week of a very mild case of COVID-19, and it's not all it's cracked up to be, in my case at least, and I hope that this will be a reassuring message of someone just telling their experience and saying it's not necessarily bad. I'm 60 years old, I'm in pretty good health overall. I seem to have kicked it. I'm counting my third fever-free day today, so today is the day I can officially, I think that's the definition of having come through it, is 3 fever-free days. This Friday is my third. So, as you may have seen, I posted a song. It's funny to think that if indeed this was COVID-19, the virus was already in me when I made that song, in the sense the virus was singing that song Oblivion. And it really does sound like that, doesn't it? So I worked on that on Sunday, and the way I work is very, very intensive, and I tend to neglect eating and even turning the lights on because I just don't notice it's getting dark. I'm so focused on the music, and I was really happy with the way it turned out. I worked on the video until about 2:30 in the morning, then just went to sleep after posting the video, and then the next day woke up with a headache, which is not very unusual if I've been skipping dinner and stuff like that, but it went away fairly quickly, and then I was just enjoying the positive responses on social media to my song. And then in the afternoon I was reading the papers and getting very worried about the state of the world, and suddenly I started feeling chills. And it's really something I'd never experienced before. I haven't really had that kind of flu where you get chills. I thought, what is this? Because I knew I was in a room with the blow heater on and that I should be warm enough. The doors were shut, it had been on for a while, and yet I felt cold. And then so I climbed into my bed, and still I felt cold in bed. So then I went and had a hot bath, and still, although the bath was so hot that I was sweating and steam was everywhere, still I couldn't feel warm enough. So that felt just really strange. I could sense that something was wrong. Went back to bed. The chills turned into a fever, and I really felt something taking me over. I felt the thing inside me, and I kind of knew at that point that it must be corona. And because this kind of thing never happens to me. I never really get episodes of kind of fever and stuff. I don't have a thermometer in the house. I was actually trying to use the wall thermometer to measure my temperature, but it didn't work at all. So all I know is that it wasn't a sweat on the sheets kind of fever, but it was a fever. And at that point I was very scared. I really thought, this is it, I'm going to die of this, I'm going to get pneumonia, and I just started anticipating all the stupid RIP Momus kind of messages that people would be posting. Fat lot of good that is to me if I'm dead, rest in power Momus, At least be original with your obituaries. But I was genuinely too scared to sleep, for instance, so I put on this playlist of France Culture. There's a series called Une vie, une œuvre, which is about writers, and so I was kind of drifting in and out of sleep, a bit like when I'm on a plane. I feel like I can only sleep for very brief moments, and the plane will crash if I don't kind of stay conscious. So I was kind of starting awake every 10 minutes, and usually the moment I was starting awake in the documentary about the writer was when the writer died of the plague or some kind of syphilis or something like that. So I got a fairly perfunctory sleep, and the next day also had the fever. I noticed other changes, medical details follow. Spoiler alert, things like my urine was much darker and was opaque. My stool was really horrible smell, different smell than ever before, and very, very dark as well. I also had no appetite at all, and I was still feverish. So I thought, well, listen, if things are going to get worse, maybe I should go out and get some food, because I don't want to run out of food. I don't really have friends. I have friends who have offered to shop for me if I'm in trouble, who live like 90 minutes away from Berlin, but I didn't want to. I don't really know who I'd call on if I couldn't go out of the house. So I went out and did some shopping at my local shopping centre here. Tried to buy a thermometer. The pharmacy had run out of them. Got some paracetamol, because I'd been medicating the fever with a little paracetamol, and withdrew some cash in case there's cash problems later on. Went to my local supermarket, Netto, which has a self-checkout with no queues, so I could, observe extreme social distancing and keep well away from everybody, because really when you think you are infectious, you shouldn't go out at all. And I noticed that, and I also went to my local Chinese store and bought some of the packet lunch things I had, all with a mask on. People were staring at me thinking, well, who's that weird guy? Why's he got this weird checkered mask on? But by the time I got to Netto, my sweat was really flowing down my forehead into my eyes, and I could tell that this had been a mistake. I was almost too weak to get home with my big bag of groceries. But luckily I was then stocked up for at least a week. And then I went straight to bed, and I got some solid sleep. That was the first time I really got some good sleep. Hot bath as well. I think hot baths and solid sleep are the two things I've noticed which just are super good for you in this condition. So that was, what else happened on Tuesday? I don't know. Wednesday I woke up and felt much better already. Oh yeah, Tuesday I told my girlfriend. I told her on Monday that I thought I was developing psychosomatic symptoms, but by Monday evening I kind of knew that you can't really dream yourself into a fever like that. I mean, it wasn't psychosomatic, it was something real. So I wrote to her on Tuesday really just saying, listen, this is happening, but don't be too worried, because I don't think it's going to be as serious. I think I'm one of the 80%, or even in some accounts 91% of people. There's a virologist called Hendrik Streeck who wrote a very reassuring article in the Frankfurter Allgemeine, for instance, saying that 91% of cases of this are going to be mild or moderate. And this is, in fact, one of the great dangers of this, because a lot of people will have it without even knowing, with just thinking they have some passing minor ailment like a flu. In my case, it has been minor. The headache, for instance, was much less serious than the headaches I get every couple of months because of my optic nerve condition, pressure affecting this eye. And that's a terrible headache, and I lie low, in a terrible state of pain for 6 hours or something when I get that. But this headache, it passed off really easily. The fever went away fairly after 2 days. So I had 2 days in bed, essentially, at the beginning of the week. From Wednesday, I started feeling better already. I could sense that my body, my immunological system had kicked in. Also, mentally, I felt much better, because there is this weird phenomenon whereby you feel there's a paranoid sense of self-protection when you're hiding from other people who are the zombies, the virus carriers, when you think you don't have it. But when you think you do have it, you have a sense of consideration towards others, and suddenly there's a great universal kind of love kind of feeling of, I don't want to hurt anyone, don't want anyone else to be infected. So the mask, if you've been wearing a mask, kind of reverses its function at that point. Wednesday I had an electrician who was meant to come and upgrade the electricity meter, and through Jan, who I'm subletting from, I cancelled that, and I told them, Jan told the company he thinks he may have corona, so don't go in there because your employee will get sick. So the electricity company were actually super reasonable about it, and actually thanked and commended me for protecting their employee, which I thought was really nice. And I actually also made a video. I made a first attempt at this video on Wednesday and then scrapped it because I felt that it felt like sort of premature to say that I'd already kicked the thing. It felt like boasting, and it felt just the wrong thing to make it public at that point. Thursday, my mother emailed saying, "Are you okay?" And I wrote a long account to my family, basically telling them about it and saying that I'm already on the mend. And I just continued the regime of hot baths and sleeping a lot. And but I could sense really that I mean, the main fear at that point was there would be a stage two, because the thing is kind of inside you and it's kind of trying to get into your lungs. Obviously, I never had a sore throat, I never had a cough. These other symptoms which other people have talked about haven't occurred to me. I've had heart palpitations. I've had definitely a slightly weird feeling in my throat, like it's coated with something, but. I didn't have the really serious, and my lungs do feel kind of heavy, I have to say. But so there's a whole series of like second stage or more serious symptoms, which could be interstitial pneumonia and cascading organ failure and all the rest of it. But luckily, none of that seems to have applied. So I think that I have been one of the, touch wood, I've been one of the lucky ones. Apparently, in Germany, there's been a very high percentage of very mild cases. So. Perhaps it was the right place to pick it up. I don't know how I picked it up. I've had only one face-to-face meeting in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and that was with my Malaysian friend, Liana. We just had lunch, had some spicy food together and had lunch. You have a possible, at its very longest, a window of symptom-free infectiousness of 2 weeks, but an average of 5 days. So I was thinking, where else could I have picked it up? And I went to IKEA on, I think, the 6th of March, around about then, and got a new duvet cover at IKEA and some little electronic things. And I think I may, because I went on the S-Bahn, public transport, I may have just picked it up from, touching handrails and things on public transport. I have been washing my hands and all the rest of it, but, probably touched my face after touching a handrail on the S-Bahn, something like that. So I'm now declaring myself cured. Not standing for any more of this, and I have felt really good and really fever-free for 3 days. So that is the technical definition of cured. So I'm not quite well enough to get back to making music yet. Anyone who knows me will notice that the fact that I wasn't doing a song, putting up online a song on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or having declared myself in a recording session for a new album, they'll know that that's not like me. So some of you will have been suspicious. But I'm just going to, obviously I have to self-isolate now for 2 weeks. The interesting thing is that you become what they call seropositive? Basically, if you build up an immunity, and the studies of the immunity to this particular coronavirus show that it's at least good for a month. Bavarian sufferers of COVID who've come through it, recovered, still have their immunity a month or two later. So that's a good sign. Often these, general coronavirus immunities do last for several months, I read. Double check all my facts and things on this, because I'm not a scientist. I'm just regurgitating what I've read in science magazines and things. But I think it should be reassuring to people. I'm 60, I'm not a young person, but I am in a pretty good state of health. So this was my experience, a very mild experience of something. Let's just call it something. I've had something which is very unusual for me to be laid low with anything. I really don't often even get colds and things. So I've had something, but I had a very mild something, and it was actually very easy to deal with. It's not something to be scared of. The old quote about the only thing to fear is fear itself is true. Don't be scared, because as this virologist says, 91% of cases are fairly moderate. Don't read just these scary articles in the papers. If you assessed anything you did every day, like driving your car or riding a bicycle through the city, you could look at the accident stats and say, that's horrible. Look at the way people die on bicycles. Most people will not die on bicycles, just stay safe. Take all precautions against it, as if you're going to have a serious case, by all means. But don't assume that if you do get something, feel suddenly under the weather, as I have this week, it's going to be the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. I'm hoping that an antibodies test will be developed fairly soon. They're working on it very intensively right now, and that I will be able to confirm whether this was in fact COVID-19 that I've had, or whether it was something else. And also, the nice thing is that those of us who have built up resistances and antibodies will be able to donate serum to those who are infirm and vulnerable, like my 85-year-old mother, who I'm obviously very worried about. It's those people who really have to observe the quarantine. Obviously I have to as well. I'm going to stay in for at least 2 weeks now, because that is the period in which you still might be infectious even after having recovered. But the frail, the people with pre-existing conditions, the smokers apparently have a 50% higher risk. So if you've been a smoker for a long part of your life, you're more at risk. I thought it might be reassuring if I give an account to you of a fairly mild case, and stay safe out there. I will get back to music in a few days when my voice is recovered and my body has sufficiently recovered. I'm just trying to eat well, sleep well. Oh, the appetite, I forgot to mention. The other symptom is you have absolutely no appetite. Right from the Monday and Tuesday, I really could not eat anything. I found it really hard. Each spoonful of just dry rice, cooked dry rice that I was eating was really hard to get down. So that is the worst thing. You just have to force yourself to eat because your appetite just goes entirely. It has come back. I'm now eating much more happily. So stay strong, eat well, stay indoors, and stay safe.
Open University.